This video contains gratuitous use of profanity and uncomfortable pauses to compensate for lack of professionalism and original thought. Viewer discretion advised.
Live from Heron Prime, not to be confused with Heroin Prime. We are the Nerdy Manroom Show with your host, Hassel and Monster.
That was a very dangerous path you were taking on that intro.
Well, I figure we got Daniel on today, the creator of Xyber Ronin. Why not speak on Heron Prime, the planet of Xyber Ronin? So, hey.
Yeah, you just got so close to that Heroin Prime thing.
Well, to be honest, I'm still quite kind of unsure of the pronunciation, so I figure once we get Daniel on here, we'll get a correct one. That's why the disclaimer there.
They're like the dark side. It looks like dark sea, but it's actually dark side, and everybody pronounces it their own way.
Yeah, I'm a sider myself, so.
Yeah. Well, before we get too far into stuff, and we are going to have a special interview today, but let's go ahead and thank our sponsor, The Zone Collectibles. You can find them at their store located at 305 Main Street, Tifton, Georgia. You can find them on the internet at thezonecollectibles@gmail.com and on Facebook at The Zone Collectibles. Visit them for all your nerdy needs, from comics, especially independent creator ones that they have going, to Legos, to trading cards, toys, games, and more. Help them support the local artist community through their cause of bringing unity through community. Fandoms unite. And last week, Hassel, you mentioned that there was an event coming up in August that they were going to be at and set up for, and you sent me the information on it the other day. I believe it's August 13th is the day, which is a Saturday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
and
sir.
Then,
it's Saturday, and it's at the Tifton Theater. Hold on, I apologize. I wrote it down somewhere.
Well, that's the part I was struggling to remember too. Is where is it at?
The Tifton Theater of Performing Arts.
Okay. Yeah. So
that was the part I couldn't remember. So that's why I was trying to find it in my notes.
Me either. That's why I was trying to get everything I could remember out, and then I was just going to make you have to say the rest, so I didn't look that bad on camera. But with that brings us to our new segments of the show. This is our Geek Week updates, and we talk about how our Geek Week was, what have we been into for the past week, maybe drop a few news hints in there if we have some that relate to us. But I think you went first last time, sir. So I'll go first this week just to be fair. To be honest, I haven't had a ton of stuff go on this week in my Geek Week. I probably my biggest thing is I've gotten, as I mentioned last week, I had several toys on shipment waiting to come in, and most of those did. So I actually had a chance this week to open up my Fans Toys Cerebros and get him transformed and posed out. And I gotta say, this is one of the few that Fans Toys has done to me that has a really enjoyable transformation. It's real easy to do. I mean, he's only transforming into the head of Fortress Maximus, but it's real easy to do. He looks really nice. I mean, there's very little detail to him as far as like a lot of extra sculpt or paint lines and stuff, because he's a pretty basic looking guy. He's only gray and white color.
He looks pretty clean in the pictures you sent me.
Yeah, he really does.
Really great.
He really does, and I got a chance to mess with him. Also in that shipment, I had my Marvel Legends Speedball. I was very excited to get that and get it opened up and onto my shelf. And after I go through this, before we move on with Geek Week, we'll actually pop a video in. It was pre-recorded. As Hassel unboxed last week, I am not a good unboxer on screen. I like to kind of do my stuff in my own little time and put it up, but I'm also very impatient when it comes in to do it. So what I did was go ahead and set up a few things, and then I took a video, and we'll show you guys some behind-the-scenes look at the collection, what's been updated here. It's a very short video, but we'll pop it in here. It's already pre-recorded. So last week on the show, Hassel unboxed a White Ninja Power Ranger on the show. And since I am not great at opening a bunch of stuff, but I was very excited about new things coming in, and I'm also impatient, and stuff showed up a few days early, and I wanted to open right away and set out. I thought instead of trying to unbox from the show, I would just give you an updated tour of some of the collection space that has been updated since the last time we shared on the show, and that you guys haven't had a chance to see. So I'm going to take you around now and show you some of those updated displays. So first of all, we've got the updated Spider-Man and Iron Man, and I don't think these were in place the last time we recorded for the show. Also, same sort of setup here, not a whole lot of new. Fantastic Four with my Running to Flame on Johnny Storm Human Torch back there. Updated X-Force shelf. Changed this out to be Excalibur and X-Factor. We've added a few to the DC shelf here and there, not very many, honestly. It's pretty much about the same as it was last time we shared it on the show. And then we've got some boxed NECA Ninja Turtles down here. Very similar over here. I do have an updated Watcher. He's going to be going with Galactus when that arrives, which will be an awesome setup. Not much difference here as well. And as you can see, Speedball made the wall up there now. Some updated Star Wars wall stuff. And the one I know you're all waiting for, how does Speedball as well as the Thundercats look on the shelf? Well, and actually Goliath as well. As we said before, the swing span is massive. You're going to see a few figures over here I have not opened yet. I haven't gotten the chance to, but these will be coming soon. So when they do, I'll give you an updated look at the Transformer shelves as well. G.I. Joe, some spare Transformer masterpieces. Some I'm really proud of, my Power Ranger Forever Red display. And as we talked last week, the posability of these Ninja Rangers is just fantastic. We've also got a few X-Men left over here. Updated Cosmic Shelf with Binary as well as Quasar. I don't think he was in the collection last time we shared these. And as I talked a lot about last week on the show, New Warriors with Speedball included now. And then finally, last but not least, my 80 shelf that I just started. Right now it's just a couple of favorites between Lion-O and Tigra and a Holiday He-Man back there, but we've got a Quicksilver and Bengali coming soon. So I added in a little bit extra. I know I promised that I would show the updated Transformers and stuff once I got the combiners for the train together as well as Cerebros, but since I was already in the mood to record, let's just go ahead and share my current setup of 4 of the 6 train bots. Omega Supreme, we've had a swap out of Optimus this here since the last time you guys saw it, as well as Trailbreaker. And what else can we share down here? Sorry, I know the camera's moving a little bit fast, but I am not very sturdy at the moment. Down here we've got our Defense Sword Protective Box pieces started, as well as some Headmaster action. And that did not come out at all well. That sounded really bad. Updated Perceptor and Blasters. Additional Transformers. Cerebros will be going right up here in front of Fort Max. And then the remaining pieces there. So, as I said, not real great at unboxing figures on the show, as well as I'm just too impatient to wait. I had to get Speedball in as soon as he arrived. So there was your look at my updated area.
What it is Monster don't like to look as goofy as I do when I unbox.
Well, I get real quiet and I'm like, all right, what can I do? How can I pose this? And I get lost in thought. So yeah. But my other big thing has been the train bots. I had my last 2 train bots come in from Moon Studios. I haven't gotten them all transformed yet. I do have 4 of the bots transformed, because you have to, with these, you have to start in robot mode, which is what they mostly come in, except for one of them that came in combined mode, and I'd already put him in robot mode to pose them out. But you got to go back to train mode, and then you can go from train to combiner mode. So I've only, and it's very time consuming. I've only made it through 2 of them, or 4 of them. But I will say that as far as look and how they operate, they are very sturdy. I do have some of them here. I've got high hopes for how well this dude will do. I mean, you can hear the ratchets in this thing. You can probably hear it on camera, and you actually, the ankle tilt actually comes up and then locks back down into place once you get it posed.
There's a good snap to it there. That's some strength to that.
Yeah, and then the arm pieces are that's the elbow. Obviously, the shoulder's not connected yet, but he does come with his own little infinity gauntlet too. I like that.
Yeah, I was noticing the pictures.
I have no idea why they have those lights, but they're really cool.
I said, this is how much you got an infinity gauntlet.
But these are very well done. I mean, they've got the full articulation and all that. They're very sturdy, so I have high hopes for the actual combiner once it's all together. But it's probably going to be Saturday or Sunday before I finish it because I got to do two of them I got to do two Monday, two Tuesday, and then Wednesday night we had some family birthday plans that we had to take care of, and then we're recording on Thursday of this week, so I won't get back to it probably till tomorrow. And I've got to do both the chest pieces, the upper and lower torso, and start connecting them.
Yeah, I wish my Hasbro Devastator was that sturdy. He is in my case just like,
and
I'm scared to pose him.
I have seen a lot of videos of this guy combined and how he looks and seems to be very dynamically posable. But I've also seen some reviews on the first release of the Takara version of the trains, and it's the chest piece. I haven't done that one yet on mine, but I've seen him released and seen people reviewing him, and while they're like, yeah, he seems to work very well, it's also the quality compared to the Moon Studios one is not very highly touted. But beyond that, the only other thing from toys for me is I actually looked because you and I were texting last week, and you mentioned, hey, man, I'm fixing to get hit with these Silverhawks wave. And I was like, no, you're not, because that they're not even in production if you read their pre-order status page, which I sent you. And then before we looked at it, shortly after that, I got an email saying, hey, Wave 1 has moved to October from June.
Dude, Wednesday was Black Wednesday for Super 7. Like, I had one email pop up, and the next thing over the course of the next 2 hours, I shit you not, I had a dozen.
So
everything.
I got them.
Everything.
I got them for both G.I. Joe Wave 1 and 2 and Silverhawks because those were timed to be releasing at the same time. What's funny is I got all the ones for Wave 1 saying it's pushed back to October. And then I sit there for like 2 or 3 hours and nothing on Wave 2. And I'm like, surely they're not going to leave that sitting there saying September, knowing that Wave 2 is not going to hit before Wave 1 if they're doing the production orders in order, which they supposedly are now. And then all of a sudden, 2 or 3 hours later, I get, oh, well, here's Wave 2, move back to January of next year for both of these sets.
See, that was what was kind of worrisome when we were talking the other day because I got looking at it. It was like the Thunder Tank was supposed to hit, and then like literally it was supposed to be like Wave 1 of Silverhawks, Thunder Tank, G.I. Joe's Wave 1. And it was like, holy shit, this is supposed to fuck me up. And now I don't have to worry about it for a year. So
yeah, same thing here. I mean, I was like, well, I've already budgeted all these because I budgeted them way ahead to pay for them. I was like, well, crap, now I got to redo all this budget for the latter half of the year here because all this is moving. Now,
at the holiday season of all times.
Yeah, that's what. Oh, in October too, because my kid's birthday is in October. I'm like, dang it, now everything's hitting at one time. Which I buy his birthday and Christmas ahead. We've talked about this on the show before, but I've already got like 20 items put up in my room in a box, and I've got another box back there I started putting stuff in today. So
the Hassel House has bought 0 for Christmas.
Oh, I'm already ahead. I've got all the birthday done, and I'm about 85%. If I did the math right, about 85-90% done with Christmas. And there's a bug
you pull that
Griswold
method where he loses gifts in the house and then finds them 10 years later.
Oh,
so that's what would happen if I bought stuff like that too early.
I had big bad toy store boxes, so as soon as I get a pile of loot in, I put all the stuff that I can fit in that one, and I close it up, and then I wait for the next one, and so they're all sitting in front of my closet, so I know exactly where they are, and everything's in one spot. Yeah, I'm a little bit of a OCD on that. But to round out my Geek Week, honestly, a lot of my evenings have been messing with these Transformers after work because I said it takes a little bit to transform. And there's a bug flying in my space. Every time I turn around, he's right in front of my face. So I haven't really got to watch or read a whole lot of stuff. I did do a little bit. I did watch the Flash season finale. that show was really odd this year. So it started season 8, and they started leading it up like it was going to be the Blackest Night storyline. They got all the way through the halfway point. They had Deathstorm on there, and then all of a sudden they just end that story and move to something else. And it was
how did the Deathstorm wind up looking on there? Because I'm on
really cool.
The books, but I wasn't sure how it would turn out on that.
He actually looked really cool on there, and I thought they were going to go further with that story. I think what happened is they were still trying to get that season 9 locked in and get Grant Gustin signed off for that paycheck for him to stay in all. And when they finally did, it's like, okay, we've got a whole nother season to breathe, and what are we going to do next season? Because we haven't thought past this storyline. So they just stopped that one, started something different, and it was very disjointed. Still one of the better DC TV shows, but it just, I don't know. The season finale was kind of meh, and actually the rest of the season after the halfway point was kind of that same way.
Well, let me ask you this, Monster. I mean, we all know the train wreck that is Ezra Miller. Would you not, if you were the director of this movie, and that guy's very talented after doing It chapters 1 and 2, would you not have a scene there at the very end where it just shows him running off and then all of a sudden phasing into something and having the cat from the series in that suit all of a sudden being like, well,
I would rather have him any day of the week, but there's a lot of talk on their end from the studio end that they want somebody else. They don't want to just go with him just because he's been doing the show, and they want somebody
nonsense though. He's who the
Yeah.
fans love.
Yeah, and everybody likes him. He's actually not while he's not a huge Flash comic fan, he's a huge Superman fan. So having him in comics, any kind of comic show, he's going to try and do it justice. But I don't know. I would rather have him, but I don't foresee them keeping him around for anything else, honestly.
That's unfortunate.
Now we do know Ezra Miller's out, and then there was something else in the news this week about several more things that he's being implicated in now too. And I didn't have a chance to read it all, but reading some of the stuff about him, like him attacking the lady with the chair in the in the karaoke bar and going to these people's house, and apparently this young kid that he's groomed or taken off with, or I don't even know if there's been a resolution to that one. So it's just one thing after another with him.
All right then.
But moving on, other than that, the other things I watched was Star Trek: Strange New Worlds on Paramount. If you like Star Trek Next Generation, this would be a good show for you. This one is one to me that's really good. It's set in the time frame of Captain Pike and Spock and his number one and all. And before Kirk was on the Enterprise, before he was a captain, I mean, even Spock in this one is just a lieutenant, not a commander. But it's set in that room right before Kirk joins. And in this last episode, which is supposed to air today, and I haven't had a chance to watch this one yet, supposedly Kirk is actually going to make his first appearance on the show. But it's actually it's got a good blend of action and exploration. There's a lot more exploration and looking into what that means by meeting and being tied into other cultures and stuff and going to new worlds that they don't normally get to go to. And there's a lot of that Next Generation feel because of that. I mean, they have action in it as well, but it fits very well with the story. It's not like, okay, we got to have action just to have an action scene. If you remember Next Generation, there was 2 or 3 episodes in a row where they had nothing going on other than being on the ship and on some world and just exploring. And you get that some action.
Dick around at the holodeck. If you knew if you had the holodeck show up that episode, nothing's happening.
Yeah, and this has some of that. I mean, I can honestly say there's only been maybe one episode that was not captivating. I mean, all of them have been pretty much draw you in once they get into the actual story. I mean, it might be some slow scenes, but the majority of the show has been really good. Beyond that, Kid and I watched The Bad Guys on Peacock this weekend, which was a lot funnier and a lot better movie than I thought it was going to be. I don't know if you've seen the previews or anything for it.
I haven't. I'm unfamiliar.
It's animals, and they're like so you got the big bad wolf, you've got a snake, you've got a
okay. I have seen the preview for this.
And they're doing like heist, and it reminds me of that TV show Leverage, because the whole time, even when they're being good guys, they're still pulling heists on everybody to get around to what they're trying to do. So it was actually really entertaining.
Better check that out.
And then I do have tickets for Thor this weekend. I think we're going Saturday. I don't remember what time yet, but we'll go check that out. And I will share my thoughts and spoiler-free review next week. I don't know if you were going this weekend or not.
We were planning on going at some point, either probably Saturday. I have to work Saturday, but we'll probably go Saturday evening.
Gotcha. Yeah, we'll try to do spoiler-free next week just in case anybody hasn't seen it by the time we record next week, but we might come back after that. If it's really good, we'll come back and do spoiler-free. We'll do spoiler reviews later. After that, the only other thing I really got into this week was I did read a few comics, and everything I read, honestly, was the Dark Crisis stuff. I mean, I only got like 4 books in, but I got Road to Dark Crisis #1, and Dark Crisis Young Justice #1, and it is pretty much exactly what you expect it to be after seeing where they're going. I have no love for the story. I will say
the changing of the guard, so to speak.
I will say this: the one good book out of all of them that's actually entertaining is the Young Justice one. And it's kind of weird because they're taking the '90s Young Justice, which was the '90s sidekicks, basically the Tim Drake Robin, the clone Superboy, the Impulse instead of Kid Flash, and they're saying, hey, these were also their mentors who died. But in all these other books, we're talking about the first generation, like Nightwing, Arsenal, all those after those heroes, and having them lead, and the new generation of Superboy, John Kent, and this new Yura or whatever her name is, the Wonder Girl from from the actual Amazon rainforest and stuff, and saying,
Mhm.
how are they going to be the next league? So this generation of heroes is kind of like being overlooked. They're like, well, nobody's even asking us what's going on,
See,
or
that
asking
was
us to
something
be
I was
involved.
kind of worried about. Is I seen an article the other day where one of the editors or whatever at DC, he was just basically saying that no one cared about that generation of Titans anymore, or Young Justice generation. And I was like, dude,
Yeah,
everyone loved them up until New 52.
and
You shit all over them to have New 52, and then that didn't really do them any justice since.
yeah, and that's one of the things they're addressing in this book. They're actually addressing it as part of the storyline. It's like, this group of heroes is being basically saying, okay, well, we lost our mentors and our father figures and mother figures as well, but everybody's only concerned with what are you guys going to do to lead us into the next generation as the first generation of psychics, and what are you guys doing to take over and grooming the latter generation. So it's kind of like the middle child syndrome, I guess. They're like, well, we're just here, I guess. But I mean, it was actually, and it was a very short story for the first issue, so I don't really know where it's going. But it was actually interesting because they did at least address that, and I'm like, well, yeah, because I actually like these characters better than any of the ones you're trying to
Yeah.
push. Like, and I will say they did go back.
They were building the hell out of the real John Kent, the Superboy clone. They were building the hell out of him right up until New 52.
Yeah,
Like he had returned from death, he had a meaningful death, come back in a meaningful manner, and it was really being built into if you had to have somebody to fill those shoes, he could.
yeah, and now,
And then they done New 52, and he's been just a little twerp since.
yeah, and he actually just came back recently. He's been gone. He was gone for years. He's only been back for a couple of years now, and
How cool would it be to see Superboy Prime return and restore a lot of shit, and then them two side up because of that? They hated each other before that. They had
yeah,
their big. But
yeah,
how cool would it be for him to be like, you know what? You're right.
that would be real. That would be real awkward. I will say that was the one good thing in that Dark Crisis Young Justice, as far as that next generation of heroes, is that John Kent actually did say, when because they disappeared at some point. One of the girl, Cassie Sandmark, one of the girls going around asking, hey, has anybody seen Connor or Tim or and John Kent Superboy is the only one that said, I haven't, but I really wish I did, because I could really use his help, because he's the only one who's like, I really need the other, I need my predecessor. I would like to have him here. So I'll give him credit on that one thing, but that was kind of, yeah.
Well, isn't he kind of like in the '90s style suit again now?
Yeah. Yeah. And they've
Which
had some,
I was a fan. I was always a fan of that look. I mean, he done the better stories, I guess, with the T-shirt and jeans. After Jeff Johns took over Teen Titans, but
yeah.
I did I like the other. I mean, it was '90s. It was cool.
Yeah. Pretty much all I had in my Geek Week. Like I said, it was kind of slow. I've been mostly transforming figures if I haven't been out of the house dealing with family stuff. So how about you? How was your Geek Week?
I was pretty abysmal. I watched the 4th of July Raw, which was El Libre.
I fast
Nothing.
forwarded through that. I saw
There was
maybe 10 minutes of it.
the only notable thing at all is AJ Styles finally picked the wind up. But other than that, there was nothing of any note. Black Wednesday, with Super 7, we covered that. The Braves, I will say, they've snuck back up into the second place. We're about 2.5 games out. Unfortunately, Mike Soroka was training to come back, and we really needed him back. And he gets hit in the knee at the training facility. He's rehabbing to come back by another rehabbing player. So now it's undetermined when he actually will come back. So that was kind of
Your interim champion for your interim champion.
that was disheartening. And going into interim champions, Brian Daniels, I watched AEW last night. He's on week 5 of this concussion deal that he's out with. That's kind of scary. I mean, I think he might have some. This might be it for Danielson, and I hate that because he was having some great matches there. But I think he might have pushed it a little too hard, and might be why WWE was kid gloved with him as they were. But
Yeah.
Christian Cage, dude, he slayed it again. Like he came out here last night and just Man, he is the best interview in wrestling right now. He is
Yeah.
hands down.
I've seen his stuff, and that's good. I will say this: I've seen a couple of different articles and podcasts this week talking about there's a lot more. I guess because they're pushing only certain people and certain thing, like Christians getting this big push stuff, and the MJF stuff, I guess, led up to this somewhat. But there's a lot of pushback backstage now. There's a lot of tension backstage from what I'm seeing on for AEW right now.
Really? I hadn't seen much of that right there. I just know that Christian is putting out some of the best interviews he has ever put out. It comes natural, it flows, and it's just like, oh man, I want to hate this son of a bitch, but it's so great. It's not like hit that hard anyway, so I mean, I'm like,
I'll say that I would say the one this week though, the shot at Matt Hardy he took, that one might have been a little bit in bad taste. That might have been too soon,
dude. I popped in the chair last night. I was sitting there, watching it, and he was like, you're making your brother look the sober one, and I popped bigger than shit.
And it's a great line, and it was funny because I laughed at it too. But I was also like, man, that might be too soon. We might have went, he might be dealing with problems that might say,
You know what? I don't believe so. Because Matt Hardy's someone that made a butt with Edge at the same time that Edge was screwing his old lady. And they played that into an angle at the same time. That was very real life within weeks. So Matt Hardy, I guess you could call it professional. I don't know. He's for making a buck.
Yeah. It was not it was a good promo again, but it was just kind of like, wow, I can't believe he went there.
That was one of the, when you talk about a dead dad.
Yeah, but at least that's been a while. I mean, that wasn't recent.
What's a man's sobriety compared to a dead dad?
Yeah, I guess so.
But other than that, Thor 4 this weekend. And speaking of fours, the 4th tier of G.I. Joe was announced today for the HISS tank. I was super stoked about it. I mean, it's a retro carded Cobra Commander from the 82 misprint. I mean, I'm pretty psyched about this.
Yeah, that did actually look really good, and
it's not just a repaint. That was the thing. I was like, okay. I was kind of examining the picture. It's not just a repaint.
It's got some new molding in it.
Yeah, I retooled the figure, and it's got the 82 look, and I'm just like, sold.
It's amazing how fast the G.I. Joe stuff is selling. Because I saw, I texted you that the Tiger Force Duke was up for sale, and you're like, yeah, I don't want to go to Target. And I was like, oh, I can order it for you on Hasbro Pulse. I had a 30-minute phone call. Within 30 minutes, that sucker was sold out. And I couldn't get back to my phone fast enough to even answer you. I was like, what the crap? It's gone. I didn't order one. I wanted Duke in this Tiger Force paint. I just didn't really care for the bike because I've already got the bike with breaker. I'm like, eh. So I wasn't going in for
the Tiger Force stuff growing up. So it's like it kept growing on me. And I kept looking at the Duke, and I was like, kind of want you now.
I was a sucker for the Tiger Force repaints of the figures, and then some of the vehicles like the plane, the little prop plane and stuff they had that had the vertical takeoff and landing that you could turn up but they never had the actual round cycle as a Tiger Force vehicle back then. No. So
the one I remember the most was the boat with the two. It was actually a damn Cobra boat originally. They repainted it as Tiger Force for Joe's. I was like, why not?
I remember that one too. I actually had that and then the vertical takeoff and landing plane, but I didn't go in for it fast enough. I said I was going to get one because it was limited to one per, and I was like, I don't want it, but if you want it, I can order it for you and get it sent there. And it just didn't work out because it was gone by the time I got there. That's still available on Target, but Target has the Target has the charge you now and keep charging you until it shows up. And with stuff these days, you never know when that's going to be. I've got a Red Sentry that's been on Target for almost 2 years at this point.
Well, there you go. And I'd much rather go ahead and just pay for it. And if you're going to make me wait a year, that's fine.
Yeah.
Don't sit there and charge me every damn month, though. Charge me for X amount of days and then finally throw my money back and then randomly charge me again 2 weeks later. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah, and actually I've got one on there now because my credit card that I used for Target actually had had some issues with their website because they were doing an upgrade and it just didn't go well. So somehow one of my orders is on there twice now. All the rest of them are on there once. So I've got one order sitting there twice, and I'm just waiting on the first one to roll off. They're not charging me for it, but it's sitting there pending. I'm waiting on one to roll off, so it's just one of those charges instead of two. I'm like, this just makes it harder to even keep up with now.
I was Target just makes your anxiety go up to try to collect through them. It's just like not worth it.
Yeah, and Walmart, the problem with Walmart exclusives is once you can get a Walmart exclusive, they're actually usually, to me, a little bit easier than the Target ones. But instead of, unless you pay with PayPal because they charge you right then, you can do it that way, or you can do the standard, hey, I'm going to pre-order and it'll charge me when it comes out. But Walmart has an issue where you cannot change your payment method. So say something's delayed and your card expires, or you need to change a card. Like I had a card get hacked, and I was like, oh, I need to change this pre-order because it's on this card, and I got a new card now. You can't change it. You have to actually cancel the old order and place a new order. So if the exclusive is out of stock, you're screwed.
Well,
You cannot change your payment method.
It's terrible anyway. So like the Retro Lizard on the Spider-Man retro card, it's just closed with a Walmart.
Yeah.
I can't tell you the times I have searched on their damn app and website to figure it don't show up.
Well, that one's not even available yet.
I thought it went on pre-sale though.
No, it goes on pre-sale sometime this month. It's time for the next Walmart Collector Con, which is around San Diego Comic Con.
Okay, well that may be why I can't find it then. But I mean,
yeah, but
I miss on what you do find. Like you look up the Joe retro cards, like I can find Gun Ho real easy. The rest of them's kind of
yeah, and that's the same for me. But I have one thing pre-ordered on there. Like I said, that card was hacked, and I got a new card shipped to me because of fraud alert and everything else, and they closed the old account, sent me a new card. Standard procedure. So I'm like everywhere else that I had that because I ordered my comics on that card and everything. I was like, okay, just change payment method and update it. I go to Walmart, I search for 30 minutes and cannot find the change payment method because it doesn't exist. With Walmart, you have to cancel and reorder. I was like, that's just ridiculous. Yeah, it is.
That was my nerd week out. So I mean, with that being said, you want to let's move into our special interview?
Yeah, so we'll let everybody know we've got a special interview that we pre-recorded coming up. We're going to pop you over to that now. We'll give you a chance to check that out, and then we'll come back and we'll do our nerd out and closing segments.
And we are live with Mr. Daniel Garcia, the founder of Dane Comics, creator of such characters as Xyber Ronin, Atomic Vamp, many, many others. Brother, I hear you, you're driving down the road like a NASCAR fiend. How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me on again, guys. I love being able to get on your show and show you guys some support. And my video's off because I'm clutching on to the sides of the seat. My business partner's driving. We spent the past 2 days together. She's a wonderful human being, but she drives like she's bat out of hell. So if she's sitting next to me smiling and grinning, which just means that tomorrow I'll have to hear an earful from her. So
no, not to our women listeners, but most women are. I mean,
I'm not going to say that. I'm a very cautious driver, so anybody I get in the car with is always scary to me.
Yeah, no, and she tells me that she says that I drive bad, and we just made it back from Orlando in like an hour. And you would think that we were like I don't know, going through like the Flash, like Wally or something. Like I don't know how we made
y'all had a boom tube there, didn't you?
Huh?
Y'all had a boom tube.
We're in a boom tube, man. Yeah, we made it. We made it back. I'm almost home. So, but my girl will be happy that we made it back because I've been gone for a few days for work. So, no, but in all seriousness, we've been really busy, at work and stuff, and I'm just grateful to have the business partners that I have, both in my personal life and my work life, because everyone's really amazing, including you guys. But I joke about my partner in the car, but she's actually pretty cool. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make fun of you. But but yeah, man, everything is good over here, guys. Thanks for having me on. Like I said, appreciate it.
Hey, you're a member of the Nerdy Manroom family. You've got the gear to prove it. And August 13th, you'll be here to be part of the show again. So kudos to that. But the book's fully funded here. Where we at? We're pretty close to getting this thing out the door, right?
Yes, sir. We are. We were just talking, before we hit the record button, but you know, I've kind of halted a lot of stuff just to focus on this, to get this done. As you guys know, financially could be a burden as well. So from a financial perspective, I've been focusing solely on the book. There's some other things that I do want to get done once the book is complete. But to answer your original question, colors are almost done, 2 pages to go. My letterer is ready to go as well. He's in the wings waiting. And then, you know, obviously once that's complete, I'll be able to go to print and then hopefully have some books for us by the time I get to Tipton, Georgia, once again, the lovely Tipton, Georgia. And I'll be able to hand out my books to everyone. And then number 2 is the script is ready. And yeah, it's, you know, it's a long process, you know, and I want to get it done right. So I think in order to get things done right, it takes time. So
Well, you're definitely doing it right. I mean, I looked at the art you posted the other day of Bellbird. Wow.
Oh, did you like that? Yeah.
I did.
Yeah,
I mean, that's really such a cool character.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, actually, that was Steve Butler and I came up with that character. Steve Butler has done stuff like Spider-Man. I know you guys know that, but Steve's done stuff like Spider-Man, and he was a really popular. He was Sonic the Hedgehog back in like the 90s, and Spider-Man in the 90s, and he's still a pretty big artist. But him and I came up with a character, and she came out pretty neat. So I'm really happy with the way she came out, and she has those last couple pages in book number 1. And then yeah, we'll be done. So thanks for that. I appreciate you throwing that out there. It did come out pretty good. So.
Oh man, she's got an amazing look, and you know, knowing Mr. Butler, part of the clone saga for Spider-Man, hats off right there.
Yeah, that was the one that was kind of a gold and blue colored one, if I remember right from the picture we saw.
That's right, and she's on the Facebook page. And I was trying to get.
I like that one.
Oh, thanks, man. I was trying to get as close to, you know, the art, the colorist Saul. He messages me and he sends me a picture of her, and she was all red. He's like, "What do you think of the color?" I'm like, "No, that's not what bellbirds look like." I'm like, they're gold and white, you know, like I wanted to get as authentic as possible, so I did my research on what a bellbird looks like, and it's interesting. The bellbird actually has one of the loudest, highest pitching screeches out of any bird in the bird family. You can look it up and fact check me if you'd like, but that's what I know from last time I read about a bellbird. So that's why I came up with a name for her. So
interesting. I did not know that. Now we know.
Yeah,
no one's half the battle.
I'm something of a bird professor. No, I don't know. I'm making that up. But yeah, so it's but
so I'm gathering with her sonic abilities, he wouldn't want to make her scream too loud.
Yeah, so she actually pops up for a moment in issue number 2 as well in the beginning. And then the book will progress into, I know we're not talking about 2 right now, but you know, it progresses with some more explanation onto the Xyber Ronin character and where he came from and stuff. So it's gonna get more interesting issue number 2.
So
yeah,
I've seen a lot of the stuff you have for Atomic Vamp. I know you said you kind of put it on the burner a little bit, but I know you well enough to know where are we at with this stew. I know it's cooking.
Yeah, you know me so well, Hassel. I know. I all our conversations late at night. I have 12 pages done for number 1. I have pinups up the wazoo. I've even got a pinup done by Tim Vigil, and that'll be probably a give. One of the tiers during our Kickstarter will be the Tim Vigil pinup that I had made. But I've got a ton of pinups, 12 pages done, and the artist is this guy named Roberto from Mexico. The guy's a hell of an artist, and he's done a great job of rendering the character the way that I wanted. So you're right, man. You're right. I try to keep it secret, but the cat's out of the bag. And then I also had I'm going to butcher his name here, but Gregbo, and an artist, a colorist. I believe her name is Gwen, and she's from the Netherlands or something. But he did a pinup for me too, and it came out amazing. So I have those pinups for the book ready when we're ready to launch that. and the story is going to kick complete butt. So it's going to be really, really good. So I'm looking forward to that.
Can we break some news here? I mean, you got an idea of a mental estimated time of kickstarting that?
Yeah, so I plan on having everyone's stuff in their hands by August, as I promised. So once I've gotten that satisfied, then as soon as August is over, mid-August, you guys will probably start seeing some more stuff on Facebook and me trying to promote it a little more. So give me about another month, and you guys will start seeing some more promotion from that. And you won't be disappointed. I promise. It's going to be really, really good.
No, the stuff I've seen is amazing. I've shared a little monster, but the fans, our listeners, are going to love it. It's great. I mean, you've got such an amazing universe building here. It's great.
Yeah, thanks, man. I know that you and I have talked about doing some stuff also. Dana Black and I have talked about getting some stuff done for him. You and I have had a lot of conversations also, Hassel. And it's just like I had mentioned before during one of our first podcasts, it's just, helping, each other however we can, and getting stuff done. So there's a lot of great ideas that people have. And sometimes they're just not afraid, but maybe they're hesitant to see the stuff through because it's daunting, man. It's a daunting task. Working a 60, 70 hour job a week, and I'm always on call, plus having a relationship and then dealing with my own stuff. It's daunting, as you guys both know. So you do it for the love of it. You don't do it for the money, because I'll tell you, there's not a lot of money in it. So you do it for the love.
It is definitely the love because, I mean, just, with us doing the podcast and working a full time, having families, it is hard to juggle them. As our listeners probably know by our terrible 5 week absence, but it is hard to juggle everything sometimes.
Oh yeah, no, but we need people like us. I think in the creative world, in the comic world, I think that without creativity and without doing the things that we love, I think you start to lose something. Like you lose, um, I think in my personal opinion, I think the more of this stuff that we see, the more alive that comics stay. Because let's face it, Marvel and DC aren't lighting the world on fire right now. The movies
Uh,
might be. The movies might be. They're doing pretty good. But in terms of comic books from Marvel and DC, things have changed so much that the world needs folks like the people on this call, and the people who are your fans, and the people on Facebook who love to create and just do this stuff. Jamar, who's a buddy of mine, and I don't know if he listens to your podcast, but Jamar is a great example of that. I mean, I can sit here, Tony Cottrell, Dana Black, you guys, the Kevins of the world who from Zone Collectibles. I can go on and on and on, but people like that who keeps this industry alive, I think those are the unsung heroes of it. So.
well, you can definitely tell the passion with the independent creator versus. And I'm not gonna say that people at Marvel or DC don't have passion. That's not what I'm getting at. But I guess you're a little more driven by financials there versus, with independent. It's most of the time it's like I just want to put my book out, my vision, and there's that love for the character.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it's I think everything in passion, everything in the world revolves around that drive, passion, drive, call it what you want. Even our jobs, our full-time jobs that we have, where we bust our asses weekly. If you don't have that drive to do your job right, then you're gonna suck. If you have the drive to do your job right, and you have a good head on your shoulders, you're gonna probably be more successful. There was a coach that once said, hustle beats talent when talent doesn't hustle. So, and I
Yep.
can't say
Very
who
much
said it.
true.
It's one of those Yogi
Very true.
Berra kind of guys, but if you have the talent and you don't hustle, and then it's wasted, and I know guys that don't have talent at all, but they will drive their asses every day to be better and better, and eventually they get it.
Pete
So.
Rose was not one of the most talented ball players of all time. He just hustled and worked his ass off.
Yeah.
A lot of his coaches will tell you he was not the most talented on the field. He was driven. And that's
Yeah.
the difference. So sadly, as some of our generation currently is participation trophies. They just, hey, give me this. I'm gonna make the same thing whether I try or not. So those that do try, they really set the bar high.
Yeah. And then, a little bit of that talent, I think, goes a long way when you side yourself with people who have the same ambition and the same um, mindset that we have. So like my artist in Brazil, I say my artist, but my buddy in Brazil, who's the artist on the book.
He is
Um,
amazing, by the way, people.
yeah, he's great, man, but he hones his craft every day. That guy is always drawing, and he'll be great. Ariel Mendel, that guy's great also. He did Evil Ernie. He's done a bunch of my pinups, and that dude is just on it every single day. Um, the colorist that I've had, and I was just texting with him back and forth. He lives in South America. He calls himself Yen Nitro on Facebook. He's working for Marvel now, and that guy came from nothing. He was
Wow.
coloring for independents that had like, you know, I'm not gonna say no future, but limited future.
Yeah.
And this guy's coloring. He's doing aliens now, And then when he's
Wow.
not doing aliens, he's messaging me, and he's like, "Hey, you got any work for me?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, I got work for you, of course." And he always, he works with me on prices because the guy could charge whatever he wants. He's an amazing colorist. But those guys hone their craft every single day,
Yeah, who doesn't want to say they have the colorist as color for Salvatore LaRocca? I mean,
yeah, and that's one of his.
nice way to flex there, Dan.
No. But listen, Salvatore Roca, he's one of his big influences, my buddy. So like, he looks up to people like that, and then like my influences. I think we've talked about this before, but like the Chris Claremonts of the world, that guy was born to write. That guy writes every
Absolutely.
day. That dude was amazing at one time. You know, uh, even in the horror world, I know we're all horror fans on the call, but like the Stephen Kings, that guy wrote 50 novels a year, if not a month, and out of the 50, two became movies because he was a badass. So, I've always been in the mindset that you write until your fingers can't anymore, and then eventually something will blossom you'll go, oh shit, this is pretty cool. So how many ideas have you and I come up with, Hassel, where we're like, this will be cool, and then we're like, oh, this looks great, and then we're like, nah, all right, maybe something else, and then later on we're
Yeah.
like, okay, this sounds better, and then you just keep doing it, man. You just keep doing it.
My
So
problem is I get the creative ADD. I start getting like super into something, and then I like think it's bird, and I think it's something else, and
no,
then I
man,
get
but that's where
distracted between everything.
that's okay though, man. That's where your dog shit, dog shit, and then you just keep writing, and then like a gem blossoms out of all that dog shit. Like eventually you go, oh, all right. Like I wrote maybe 100 stories before I came up with Atomic Vamp. I'm not saying this is an Eisner winning award title by any stretch of the imagination, but I like it enough to pay someone to draw it, So like, and I think
I like it
based
enough to
on
want to read it because
yeah.
the stuff I've seen on it looks really great. I mean, it's
Well, I'll share with you both the Dropbox. I may have shared it with you already. If I haven't, I'll share it with you so you can see all the pages done. But it's coming out pretty good. But yeah, man. So I think a little bit of passion, a little bit of drive, and then surrounding yourself with people. I think you can't go wrong with any of those. With that formula for life in general, and especially for comics. So
well, at
I
the
hope
beginning of the
I.
show, I probably butchered up the name. I was texting you earlier about this, so I went with Heron Prime. Is that correct?
Yeah. So Harry on Prime. It's a.
Heron. There we
Yeah.
go.
Well, yeah. You didn't butcher it too bad. You're good, brother. Don't worry. That's
He
how
Well,
you
he
I had to
tried he
decide.
tried to say
I had
heroin prime at first.
Harry.
So
Listen,
he's trying not to tell you that.
listen. For
we
anyone that has
distinguished the
never
two.
met, for anyone that's never met Hassel, he's like 8 feet tall. He could butcher whatever he wants, so it's all right. Like, no one's gonna give him a hard time about it. But Harry on Prime. So yeah. So essentially, my main character, the main character, Xyber Ronin, comes from that planet Harry on Prime. There's a galactic war going on at the time. He's snatched up from the planet from this race called the Naga, Naga. And essentially what happens is that they see his fighting prowess while he's fighting off this army of invaders that have invaded his planet. And the planet of Harion Prime, the whole planet is like medieval samurai era with a futuristic twist. So they may use some futuristic technology, but their culture is like a very it's a battle hardened culture of like ancient Japan, where there was like a civil, they were constant in civil strife trying to take over land. So he's one of the best warriors on the planet. They see this, they take him up into their spaceships, and while he's in the spaceship, he's reconstructed as a warrior, right? And this is the warrior that we see now, which is able to use the cybernetics. And then during that time, he actually dies because the cybernetics kill him. And he goes into this, and you guys will read this in the second issue. He goes into this other dimension. It's called the Ember Void, right? And while he's in this Ember Void, he runs into this. I don't want to spoon feed you guys, but he runs into this like character who's like a god, and the god's like, "Look, I have plans for you. Basically, I'm not gonna let you die. I'm gonna send you back. And when I send you back, and you come back to life, you're gonna escape. And when you do, you'll find out what your path will hold." Anyway, and then he escapes and he comes down to Earth, and then while he's here, we see him doing the things that he's doing, and he's like protecting basically the city that he's living in, because he feels like he owes it, right? His honor, he's honor bound to do so. So like if I were to equate this character to someone in like a real life, I'd say he's probably like a Miyamoto Musashi, who's like this badass warrior who feels like now he has to prove himself to be the best warrior in the world, in the galaxy. And then so he's going to protect the city of New York while he's in it. And again, I don't want to spoon feed anybody, but that's kind of the things that we'll see as the story progresses into number 2. I'm big into martial arts. I love the Ninja Turtles. I love anything to do with like, sci-fi like that. So I just wanted to mix it all together. And there you have it.
Dude, if you hadn't already sold me, that right there. Anyone listening that hasn't jumped on board, jump on board. I'm telling you, you won't be dissatisfied at all.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you. And I have tried to get some of the best artists that I could find, independent artists, that are hungry and really want to show. And Mike who's the artist, Mike Oliveira from Brazil, that dude is just hungry as hell, man. He just wants to work. So, it's good. It's a good combination.
He's a great follow on Facebook for anybody that can find him too, because he's like every day he's posting finished art, pencils of where he's drawing something. He does a lot of Birds of Prey and a lot of DC characters. I mean, he's constantly posting some really great stuff.
Yeah, Dana Black is good too. You guys check
Yes.
Dana out. Dana's amazing.
Dana has designed a few characters for me. I've got some stuff of his in the room in there. So
yeah, and and there's a pinup book I know that we're trying to get off the ground for him. And then he's great. Roberto Art is great too. Ariel Medell is amazing. I can go on and on. David Cooper is another guy who's been really supportive of my stuff. Raymond Leonard has been fantastic. These are all names of hungry artists that love their craft, man. And I've tried to bring them all in to help me out. And if you guys go to my Facebook page, Daniel Garcia, you'll see Xyber Ronin as the main logo. You'll see a list of my art of the artists that I've worked with and I'm working with to get this book launched. So show them some support.
So when do we get to see like a sneak peek of Rock Wraith?
So I want to put something for Rock Wraith into Atomic Vamp, and I'll probably do like some pinups, and everything that I'm doing that has a pinup behind it. I want to stick it into our books, because I want to be able to give everybody and show everyone what we've been doing. So every pinup that I've ever had made it'll make it into a book, and especially into Rock Wraith and Atomic Vamp, or that supernatural horror. So it kind of meshes well together, and you'll see some more stuff in those books. And in the Atomic Vamp books, you'll see some pinups and stuff, and that's gonna be a fun book too. And I'm hoping you can help me with that, Hassel. So
I'm hoping to, and I won't give anything away that you don't want to give away, but the concept behind that character is really fucking great, and it kicks
well,
ass.
listen, man,
You're gonna
that
love
was
it.
all you. That was all you, brother. You helped me with that one, so I got to give you a shout out for that.
I'll take that.
Take it where you can get it, Hassel. Take it where you can
Hey,
get
always, man.
it. Thank you,
So,
brother.
so Daniel, I wanted to ask you, and this doesn't, you don't have to give away any spoilers or anything, but is there any one moment or any one very special thing that you were able to work into your Xyber Ronin so far that you're really excited about? Like, oh, this is the standout thing for you, you know, as the creator, that, hey, this is my penultimate moment for my character.
Yeah, so without getting real long-winded, if you read when you read the first issue, I think that it's more of a overlaying. It's more of an overtime thing. Monster, I think, than a one moment. It's kind of like his attitude towards things, which I've tried to write, and so it's real obvious. So you'll notice as you're reading it that he's just like a genuinely good person, a good alien, or a good character, right? And then there's a moment in number 2 where it'll be obvious that like he's willing to sacrifice himself for the greater good, and you'll read that in issue number 2 and like within the first 5-6 pages. And then again at the end of number 2, there's a moment there where for the greater good he's willing to sacrifice himself, and it's obvious. Again, it's evident in the storytelling, and so you'll see some stuff in number 2 as well where he's just like he's willing to give up his life to save others. And I think it's something that I think it's probably ingrained in me from reading comics when I was a kid. You know, Captain America, Spider-Man, you know, even Wolverine to some degree was willing to give up his own life to save other people. And you'll see that a lot in this character. So long-winded answer, but you'll see some stuff in number 2 that's evident in what I'm saying.
Oh, that's cool. That same thing for me. You're reading those characters, right? It's like, all right, they're always willing to do whatever they need to for the betterment of everybody, whether even if it hurts themselves, right? So that's actually pretty interesting. That's one of your standout things for you in the book for the character. It shows you have a very personal connection to the character, right?
Yeah,
Don't tell the fans that you're like committed for the long haul.
Man, I'll tell you what, Hassel. I met some amazing people when Carrie and I were up there in Tifton. Man, I'm so looking forward to going back because the folks in Tifton, Georgia are just incredible, man. I mean, what a group of folks, man. Like, not knowing me from anywhere, and they were like, oh man, we left. Carrie and I left there, and I was just like, man, not to sound weak or any way, shape, or form, but I was in tears at one time sitting at the hotel room, and I was like, man, I can't believe that some people, had themselves on FaceTime just to show up and meet me, like, wow, man, like amazing. And so it's just me, man. It's just ingrained in me to be that way, and I hope that I can leave a little bit of that behind with my daughters, so just it shows in my characters, that's just the way that it is. So
and then I wanted to ask you another, because I know you mentioned this earlier, that trying to balance all of your time, and you had to put some things on the back burner to be able to get everything done in the time frame you're looking at. And we know the struggle as well, especially for me. Like, I travel for work, and I know you do as well from our previous talks. But how has it been trying to balance and juggle that? Because I know, for at least for me, things have been really picking up a lot more after COVID. It's like everything is starting to get back to almost a normal type of atmosphere, as normal as it can be. So I imagine you're on the road a little bit more, and it's taking up some of your time that you might have been working from home or had more chance to work on things before.
Yeah, so Monster, that's a great question. Things have picked up for me exponentially. It's been like a fast forward button for me these past couple months, especially. So part of the reason why I've been kind of laying back and just letting the colorist do his work is for that reason, because I had a lot more time in the evenings. I'd sit there and just type away, and just create and create and create. And I'm like, okay, at some point I got to slow down and really focus on everything that's important to me, but especially the most important things to me. And that's not unfortunately, I'm fortunate to have a job and a career that pays my bills. But it that does create other things to step in the back burner, but you have to carve out time during the day, during the evening, during the weekends, whenever. And I do just that. I do a lot of journaling. I do a lot of and again, not to sound, like a wimp or anything, but, or give away my secrets, but I do a lot of journaling, and it's helped me a lot with focusing and getting myself, I journal for maybe an hour a day, not all at one time, but throughout the day, I'll write stuff down, and then I'll go back to it and I'll look at it later during the week and say, okay, what did I write down? How was I feeling at that moment? But it's important because this is my avenue. This is my way of feeling better during the day, is writing. And if you're not giving yourself some time to do that and doing things that make you feel good, then you're just, what the hell are you doing, man? You're just working. So it's important to just try to carve out that time. But for now, my colorist has got a lot of stuff going on, so I've been really patient. And he's almost done. So I've been sitting back, and then Atomic Vamp, the colorist, I just spoke to him, I'm going to butcher his name, Kevin Fryer. Kevin Fryer is actually turning in some pages tomorrow. So everything with time, brother, everything with time, it happens, and it's just taking your time and letting the system, letting the stuff work, and sitting back and just reaping the benefits of that.
Awesome. And I know you mentioned that you're going back up to Tifton in August for the event with the Zone Collectibles and with Hassel, and hopefully if I can make it there myself as well. I'm still trying to work that out at work. But do you have any other events or any other live events you're going to like that to promote? Or
so I tried to get into, what did I try to get into the SuperCon here in Florida, and it was sold out. I think you had mentioned something earlier that life is starting to get back to normal, and where maybe it was easier to get into something like that last year. This year, things have been really, really tied up. So I'm looking at 2023 at this time. If not, maybe some smaller shows once I get some books printed, just to get out there and just, show people what I love to do. So we'll see.
Awesome. And I asked that earlier because I always forget to ask that in the end. So I wanted to make sure I got it in today.
I feel like MegaCon's going to be a really good one for you to ease into, Dan.
Oh man, it's gonna be great. Yeah, even if I gotta go stand over there and hand out like black and white ash cans, I don't care.
Well, hey, if you need an 8-foot tall asshole to stand behind you, you got somebody.
Oh no, that's definitely gonna attract some attention then, man. Especially if you put on like a Jason mask or something. Forget about it. Yeah,
I got you. I got a leather face in the closet.
Make sure you stand to one side of him a little bit, Dan, because he's got weak ankles, so he may fall over on you.
The left one is pretty bad.
Yeah. Yeah. So some shows coming up, Monster. I hope so, but definitely 2023. Once I have some books in my hand and I'm ready to go sit at the table, and just showcase the stuff that we've done. So let's see what happens. But Tifton's right around the corner. We're excited about that. I love being over there, man. I had such a great time there last time. I can't wait to visit Kevin and his family and, give them a shout out. They're fantastic people, and obviously Hassel and his family and this, Monster. I hope you can make it too. So,
yeah, hopefully we can this time. I'm trying to work that out at work, but they've had me. This is the first 2-week period I've been home this week and next week, and probably about 3 months at this point.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
But hopefully, if we can manage this right, this is the plan, and we'll go ahead and put it here. We'll see where it goes. Monster makes it, you make it. We'll get Mr. Mittens back, and we'll get Big Rob there, and we'll actually have a mega live with all of us.
Oh man,
the events that day.
That would be awesome.
That's the goal.
I look forward to it, brother. I can't wait. And anything I could do to help you, Monster, in any way, shape, or form, just let me know.
Will do, sir. So I have to ask this since Hassel brought it up. How was your experience with Mr. Mittens?
So it was great. They were interviewing a gentleman, and Hassel, remind me of his name. Was it Rob?
Yeah, Big Rob.
Okay, so they were interviewing Rob, and I couldn't see around the corner of where the Mr. Mittens gentleman was sitting. And so I could just see Big Rob and Hassel. And then when Rob stood up and walked out to make room for me to walk into the room, I turned that corner. I was like, oh, what is this? I was
He was like,
expecting that.
what have I walked into?
I was like, am I getting beat up and tortured here? What's happening? Is this like is this a Quentin Tarantino movie or what's happening right now? But no, he's a great guy. Yeah, fantastic person also, and it was the gimmick was great. So yeah, I can't wait to see him again.
He is what I like to call wonderfully awkward.
Yeah, it's like my brother.
He's a good kitten though.
He's a good kitten. Yeah. So yeah, no, it was good. Good experience, man. We had a blast that last time. So I love getting on whenever you guys want me to be on, just a little bit of notice, and I don't mind jumping on to just talk about whatever. So
I'm scared about it. I'll say too much more. I'll give some spoilers away I don't need to do.
It's cool,
So
brother.
I'm trying to.
So I will send you both a Dropbox invite to the Atomic Vamp pages. I think they came out really good. Give me just a little bit. I actually just pulled up to the house here a moment ago. I'll send you guys that information, and then Hassel, I'll get you my flight information and everything else. So when we get up to Tifton, or one will be there, and so we can plan maybe another dinner and stuff with Kevin and his family.
Absolutely. So if you're getting home, we won't hold you much longer. Send give our love to the missus.
I will, my brother.
And we hope y'all the best. And we're both super happy you were here to join us today, and we're very appreciative. Yeah,
absolutely, man. You guys are the best, man. You guys are awesome. So thank you. Keep doing what you're doing, guys. Tugging along, man. Just doing your thing. Everyone in my shoes certainly appreciates it. So thank you.
We appreciate you coming on, sir. And as always, it's always fun to talk to you. And you said you're going to have some more stuff ready probably mid-August or so. So I know we're trying to all be together on the 13th of August, but maybe even if you don't have everything ready, maybe we can have you on again shortly after that. We can look at some more, talk about some more projects.
You got it, brother. I'm here. Just let me know.
All right. Well, thanks, sir. We don't want to hold you up. We know you just got home, so get home and enjoy the family and enjoy. Hopefully, this is a long weekend. Hopefully, you don't have a whole lot to do tomorrow. So.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, always got something to do, but I'm happy to do it.
You got to at least promise to watch a good horror movie tonight.
Yeah. Oh, baby, every night, horror night, every night. So, horror night, bad dreams. You name it. It's cool. It's all right. So
that's what I'm talking about, brother.
All right, guys. Listen, it's always a pleasure. We'll talk soon. Okay.
All right.
Thanks,
Dan.
Thank you very much.
All right, y'all. See you guys.
So, everyone, that was our interview with Mr. Daniel Garcia. A lot of more updates on Xyber Ronin, and looking forward to him coming up to Tifton on August 13th and hanging out with us. Hopefully, you enjoyed the interview. But with that, we're going to look at moving to our Nerd Out segment of the show. For those of you who have been here before, you know what this is. For those who haven't been here, this is where we ask random questions centered around somewhat of the topic of the day. And we give our off-the-cuff answers. We haven't had time to prepare our answers to each other's questions, so it's always an interesting take on it. We'd love to hear your take on the questions as well, whether you want to answer or just expand on what we said. So feel free to do that in the comments below. But with that, Hassel, let's do our Nerd Out. And I don't remember who went first last time. So,
but hey, you went first on the other one, so let's keep with it, and it's yours, baby.
All right. So sticking with our comic book focus, I always like to ask this question, and I like how answers change or people have different answers over time. But if you could have any one superpower, just one superpower, what would you pick and why?
I would want to be mind control any day of the week.
Telepathic?
Yeah, any day of the week. I want to be Xavier, but I want to have legs. All three of them.
That was just wrong.
Well, I'm just saying, and yes, for those that are listening, I would use it for evil. I would be wealthy. I would probably make people do some terrible things, especially those that have wronged me in the past. So,
see, I was not expecting you to go with that power.
Villain. I am a villain.
I was not expecting you to go with telepathy. I gotta say.
But what did you have for me then?
I don't know. I expected, something off the cuff, was it a Hulk thing or,
Yeah,
super
well, you know
strength and
what?
vulnerability?
Or like a power set, I went Wolverine because you got the pretty much the healing factor, the heightened senses, strength, a little bit of strength, claws. You're pretty much a mortal for the most part.
Fair.
Yeah, we went power set. That would have probably been a minute. But if it was just like, okay, this is what you got. You got the rest of your days. Oh yeah, telepathy all day. Because I promise you, I know some rich people that would no longer be rich.
So,
This
so
guy would.
mine was a mental power as well, but I went with telekinesis because I'm thinking, you know
Okay.
what? I can't get a full power set. So I get one power, but telekinesis can mimic so many power sets.
You could be a fucking Jedi monster.
Well, not only that, but think about it. I mean, everything that majority of powers, you're not going to get stretchy powers. You're not going to get invisibility. But telekinesis, I can fly, so I don't need power of flight. I get to move things around with my mind. So magnetism or anything else is basically the same thing.
True.
But I can affect plastic parts as well, or wood and everything else. But then I look at it too, like think about the clone Superboy, tactile telekinesis. So his telekinesis doesn't work past what he touches, but when he touches it, he moves air molecules around himself to fly. His super strength comes from the fact that he negates the gravity of anything when he touches it because of his telekinesis. His invulnerability is because he has a permanent telekinetic shield in front of him. I'm like, you know what? I can replicate so many powers that I'd actually probably take that one.
So this is why I love Monster. He goes with a scientific approach. I go with a how do I benefit. Monster's like, I can do all this shit because of this.
Yeah, sometimes I try to stick
That,
with the logic.
that's why we're such a great town on people, if you ever wonder.
I look at it more like we're like wrestling announcers. I'm the play-by-play and you're the color.
There you go. I don't have no problem being the king. I prefer to be Bobby the Brain, but hey, I'll take the king.
You would have to be the king because you would get distracted by puppies.
I would. I would.
Oh, but
So
with
moving
that,
on
what's your
to
nerd
my
out question?
question. I'm gonna stick with the independent theme that we had today. So, what was the first creator-owned comic that just truly wowed you?
Because of where we grew up, we really only saw a lot of until we had a comic shop in town, which wasn't very often. It was probably our early teens,
Ni-
and then that one failed, and then we got another one in our
ni-
later teens.
92, 93, I want to say was the first one I remember.
So most of what we picked up came from the grocery store off the news shelf stand, right? So it's mostly Marvel and DC. You don't get anything else in there. You might get a heavy metal magazine if you can con your way
Look,
into it.
there was one store down the road from the house that had those. I remember.
Yeah, and but those you had to catch the right kind of cover, so they didn't know what they were buying for you because you were relying on
Yes.
somebody else to buy those. Uh, I probably the one that helped me the most was when Image came along, and I know they became a full blown company, but it was all creator owned when they started. And the two that caught my attention the most were Youngblood and Wildcats. I liked Youngblood better because I liked the characters better. Shaft was one of my favorite characters out of Youngblood. The one guy on the team without powers with the bow and arrow.
Not to
But
be confused with the guy that says "shut your mouth."
yeah, yeah. And I liked Wildcats a lot, but I don't know. I didn't get into Wildcats as much as I did Youngblood. But the problem was I got into it and I was wowed by like the first 4 issues, and after that book just could not consistently come out because it was who was writing it and who was drawing it, or at least drawing the upper half of everybody's body.
Everybody but the feet.
So that was probably the one that got me the most. I mean, the one I probably bought the most of. Geez, I don't know what that would be. These were not creator owned, but they were almost independent. Like was when the Milestone books were fantastic. They were owned by DC, so I can't really say they're creator owned, but they were all creator created and full creative control on those, from what I understand. I loved Static and I liked Icon a lot. Those were probably my favorites, if not the first ones I had. But I also liked they were the Red Circle comic characters that came from Archie Comics. They were Impact Comics when DC bought them. Had the Fly,
Okay.
the Comet,
Yeah.
the Shield. Those I love those for some reason. Actually, I just bought a whole collection of the comic because it was only 18 issues when DC did it in an annual, and I just bought all of them at a local comic shop for like $1.10 a piece. I was like, oh, I just flipping through and saw them. I was like, oh, and I just pulled them out and I just kept going. I was like, oh, they've got all of them except for number 1 and 2. I already have number 1 and 2, so I've got a whole set of them. What about yourself?
Very much like you. It was Image for me because, you know, even though they've become a major publishing company now, and yeah, within a few years, very short time span. I mean, it was at the time, it was several really well-known artists and writers that, you know, branched off to form their own company. So it was independent. And for me, it was Spawn and Wildcats. That was the two that just Spawn, man. It just like, which I was always a McFarlane fan, like
Yeah.
always. That book just drew me in. You know, the whole premise of Al Simmons, you know, being a mercenary, he's killed and he comes back and he's trying to do right, but at the end of the day, he's tied to being a general for Hell's Army. And in the Wildcats, I mean, I love them. They had so many parallels to the X-Men. I love Jim Lee's art.
Yeah.
And like I said, even today, I really would like to see something done with Spartan. I don't know why. He was always my favorite of the Wildcats.
He was my favorite out of all of them as well.
And I would love to see something done with him. Like you'll see, you know, Grifter shows up all the time in DC Comics. And every now and then you get one or two, you know, like what was the chick with the red dot on her head? I forget. It escapes me at the moment.
Zealot.
Yeah. Them two show up fairly regular in DC Comics, you know.
Mr. Majestic showed up a pretty good bit for a while too when they first went to DC, but he's kind of disappeared now.
Yeah,
he was there Superman.
He was basically Superman. He showed up there and he come back but it ain't like you get to see, you know, like Warblade or, you know, or Spartan or some of those like that, or Maul or, you know, whoever else, Voodoo. But no, that was my two. And it was like, those really drew me in at the time. I don't know. That was mine.
So you made me think of a couple other things too as you were talking that I forgot about. But you remember Shadowhawk as well?
I do. That was a cool
broke all the villains' backs. That was actually a good one. I had a lot of issues with that.
That Pitt, like Pitt was like a dirty secret there, but he had Dale Known doing the art. It was like it was so close to Hulk, you know, look visualization wise, and he's like the best Hulk artist ever to me.
And I forgot all about too, and I don't know if these were creator owned, but Valiant Comics with Solar, Man of the Atom, Turok. Yeah. I think those were not creator owned; those were just classic characters that another line had gotten. But I remember some of those. I didn't have many of them, but I did like Solar. I did like what was the other one? Magnus Robot Fighter or whatever his name was.
Well, okay, here we go. Viewers, you're getting a bonus question. And what classic character would you like to see somewhat reimagined with a current book in current time, not wherever they were? Can be from any publishing company.
Captain Atom. I've always liked Captain Atom, and I loved DC's run with him in the 80s and 90s, and I actually had the full run of that book. And then they went to the Armageddon 2001, and I was like, okay, it's natural progression. I like the character. I liked him when they pulled him back in Kingdom Come and gave him the gold and red design that he had with the nucleus of the atom on him.
Cool look.
But they always find a way to just dismiss that character immediately. And I'm like, this dude is on a power level same as Superman for the most part. I mean, he's not going to beat Superman, but he's on that power level.
What a cool episode was that on Justice League where them two had a fight.
Oh, dude.
And then Superman, after he kicks his ass, is even still a hero by picking him up and took him out of there. It's like, no, he's ours.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, shit, you gangster motherfucker.
Yeah, so I love Captain Atom. And actually, when that was one of the few things in New 52 that wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great either. Like, they took him out of the metal suit, and he was basically all energy and stuff. And I kind of like seeing that go back away with the rebirth. But there's so much you could do with that character, and nobody ever does anything. The best run he had was in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, whenever that book was out. But that was, that was the only time I ever saw him actually be beneficial. But that would be my pick.
You'll never guess mine in a million years. I'll give you a guess though. I'll give you one guess.
Oh man, for a classic character that you'd like to see reimagined, I don't know. I don't know who I would guess for that for you.
The Shadow.
That would be a good one.
The Shadow knows. Dude, I remember as a kid watching that movie and just being so captivated by it. And we all talk shit about, Baldwin, but at the end of the day, the movie was great. And it actually holds up. I mean, it's still a very enjoyable movie. And then you go back and start looking at the books. And like, Alex Ross, he tried to put it back out a few years ago. And I don't remember if he was actually doing the writing and the art or if he was just doing the art, but the book wasn't bad, but the story was a little lacking. And being in the 20s, that was 30s, it was kind of
Yeah.
I would like to see and I remember actually drawing a kind of somewhat modern take of this, probably the late 90s. Probably in high school, I was doodling in fucking class when I should have been paying attention. But I do remember drawing a somewhat modern look of the Shadow. But that would be one I'd like to do.
Draw him and have his cape be more like a cloak where it's black mist and black fog coming out of it and stuff. That would be really cool.
I kind of had him like more of a trench coat, but it was like tied through the body here and floated out in the bottom. That had lots of Kevlar and stuff. I mean, he still had the signature, guns. But I changed the mask and the hat just a little to make it a little more. I didn't really dig the shit under the nose. That was the only thing I never visually liked about the book version was the big honking nose and the. I prefer the mask to go over the nose myself.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm the same way. And actually, I have one in my hallway that has the big honking nose sticking out. There's one from as a Batman Shadow crossover that actually I think you gave it to me for Christmas one year.
I did.
It's hanging in my hallway. So yeah, it's if you stand there and look at it, like the story wise, it probably holds up. The artwork on the cover of that, it's kind of like, ooh, this face was a little too.
We've come a long ways.
Yeah, to say the least. But with that, we've come a long ways today on the show, and we'll start getting ready to close out here. But before we leave, we want to make sure we thank our friend Daniel Garcia for coming on the show again this week to talk to us about all of his upcoming projects, especially focusing on Xyber Ronin, because that's going to be coming out very soon from what he said. He's looking, from what I remember what he said, we're looking at probably by the time he comes up to Tifton in August, he's hoping to have something in hand. But stay tuned here for more updates on his projects, as well as also check out his social media, whether it's on Facebook at Daniel Garcia or on Instagram at D Garcia Comics. You'll get all your information there for what's coming next. And along with that, remember to check out our sponsor, These Own Collectibles, for all your nerdy needs. You can find them on the internet at These Own Collectibles at gmail.com or on Facebook at The Zone Collectibles and in their store at 305 Main Street, Tifton, Georgia. Don't forget to check them out also on August 13th at the Tifton Performing Arts Theater, I believe is where it's at. Yeah, see, I'll eventually remember everything. Eventually. Come out to the event, help them support their cause of bringing unity through community, fandoms unite. And with that, I think, Hassel, we've got another giveaway this week that you want to reveal?
We actually have a really big giveaway. We actually have a print of Xyber Ronin. These are exclusive. We only got a handful of them last time Daniel was up. And we have a picture of them to show in the post-production. You'll see.
So he's holding it off to the side, but it's probably going to be over both of us because I'm going to use a full-size picture.
It's some fucking weird. But either way, Mr. Joseph Carlock, all the way out in Oregon, faithful listener, you are a winner this week. You show us a ton of love on Facebook and Instagram, and we're very appreciative. But to enter these contests every week, all you got to do is like, subscribe, share anything from Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, especially the YouTube channel. We want to pump the YouTube channel up, guys, and we're going to start running promotion pretty quick, hopefully. We got to get the YouTube channel viewers up. So we want to get you guys to help us, and by helping us, we're going to help you.
So since you went there last week, you tried to bump us all the way up to 500. Let's start at a respectable 250 and work our way to 500. You tried to jump the whole shark. You got to meet the shark halfway first.
Well, I'll tell you what. Okay, you get us to 250 by Halloween. We will have something not only rare but extremely special for you, and we will show it off relatively soon. The ball's in your court, guys. Put us on bathroom walls and get us the hell out there.
And remember, all you have to do to enter these giveaways is just comment, like, subscribe, share on any of our social media. Hassel, can you tell them where to find us at on social media?
You can find us on Twitter at NerdyMR Show. You can find us on Instagram at the Nerdy Manroom Show, and you can find us on Facebook at Hassel Hutchison. And we'll have a Nerdy Manroom Show as well on there.
And that brings the episode to a close today. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Again, that gets you into the chance to win. And be back here next week as we discuss the Avengers. Until then, live nerdy and beware the Nega invaders.